1 second.
Good. What's up, guys? Got a cool one here for you today. Hope and pray as always that you find it helpful and enjoyable. All right, you say, Jeff, what you got going on today on Instinctive Addiction Archery? Well, I'm going to show you guys how to build a really good high FOC hunting arrow in a 204 inside diameter shaft. That's what we're going to deal with today because they are the most popular right now, and for good reason. They're just really good choices for hunting arrows. So we're going to donate 3 of these iron oak shafts to show you guys different builds, what's out there, what you can get, what you can use, what choices you have to obtain the overall arrow weight that you're looking for, and how you can achieve that by doing very simple things, okay? Because a lot of guys have asked me about these arrow builds, and guys, I don't have to tell you, I am an absolute nut when it comes to arrows. I love them. I love building arrows. I love to put together the most killer arrow that I possibly can for each and every bow, whatever that application might be. Whether it's a 38 to 40 pound bow, or a 45 pound bow, or a 50, 55, 60 pound bow, whatever it is. Today we're going to deal with a set of arrows that is going to range from basically a 40 pound bow up to upper 40s. It's going to work absolutely fabulous with somewhere around a 27-inch draw. That's just what I happen to have with me to show you. But you can do it on any arrow you want to, guys. So if I'm trying to decide how I want to go about building an arrow with really good front of center weight, like this one here. Here's a finished shaft right here. And I'm going to weigh this one, guys, and just show you what it actually weighs here, tell you what we've got in this one. Then I'm going to show you some options. 503 grains. That's a 503 grain arrow, cut 28.5 inches. And I'm going to show you what I got on this. And you see this, guys? Well, that's what that is. That, my friends, is a Victory stainless 80 grain shock outsert. These were designed for the carbon trad arrows. You have 2 sizes to choose from, and Three Rivers does carry these. My personal choice, I love these because they actually overwrap the end of the arrow shaft and they protect the tube end very, very well. That's why they're called shock outserts. Okay, they're not cheap, but they're very good, very, very, very tough. So you have 2 sizes. You get ones that fit the 450, 550, and 650 size. Then you get one that fits like a 350. Well, that's for the bigger shafts. So any of these 500s, 400s, whatever, you're gonna want the smaller size. The ones that fit the 550s, 650s, 450s. Okay. So that's what I have on this particular arrow, weighing in at 503 grains without a lighted knock. You say, well, how much does a lighted knock weigh? Well, we're going to weigh one by itself just to see, and we'll compare that to a standard stock knock. See what the difference is, so you'll know what you're dealing with when you put lighted knocks on your arrows. 25 grains, okay? An X knock for these 204s weigh 25 grains, okay? Stock, standard knock, 7 grains. So you've got quite a bit of difference. You say, well, what is that total? Well, let's just say, okay, if I'm ready to hunt with this particular arrow here, and I put my lighted knock in, now this finished hunting arrow running a 200 grain tip, broadhead, whatever, with the 80 grain outserts and all that, is now a 521.4 grain arrow. 521 grains is what this arrow now weighs, completely finished, ready to rock. So really, really good overall weight. Let me show you guys what other options are out there, and you can get every bit of this stuff from Three Rivers. I've just brought a bunch of stuff out that I thought was cool that you might find to be your best choice, and it's personal preference. But I like to build a very tough arrow And balancing the front of center weight for each application is critical. And I'll tell you why. Because if you overdo it, you will get a knock high reading on your bear shaft every single time. You will get that. So I'm going to give you some cool stuff here. I have one of these shafts that I actually just pulled the insert out of it, so it's raw. You say, okay, what else is out there? What can I go with? Well, here you go. 100 grain brass direct fit hit inserts. These are the same as the hits. This is a direct fit, or HIT, hidden insert technology. That's what Easton patented it originally. And these go down in the shaft a set amount. They're hidden, okay? But what that does is it exposes the raw end of the shaft. So what do you want to do? If you're going to use this direct fit or hidden insert technology, is you're going to want to run a collar. That is a shock collar. It's a collar that protects the end of the shaft. Easton actually makes these collars too for these diameter shafts. All right, so I'm going to weigh one of these up and see what we're dealing with if we were to go that route. Okay, so these little stainless collars that will go on the end of your arrow are exactly 20 grains. So 100 grains, 20 grains, 120 grains. So if you put these two together, you automatically have 120 grains in the front of your arrow. And you might say, well, Jeff, how do you install these things? Well, they come with the little green tool that you can do it, but I'm going to show you guys an easier way. Okay, so I'll take a field tip, simply screw it on to the end of the threads, as far as it goes, all the way down. Screw it all the way in. Simply take your torch, turn it on, get you a little Gorilla. And by the way, everybody asks me, what glue do you use? Even on these, I don't epoxy them because I could never take them out, and they are not going to come loose with this. Gorilla glue sticks, hot melt glue sticks, okay? Matter of fact, I'll get me a fresh one here. Get me a brand new one. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to heat this up. Barely heat up my insert and just start putting glue on there. You don't have to go crazy, but just get it all around. Like that. Done deal. Okay? I'm going to put this thing all the way down. Bam. Like that. It'll leave a little donut. You want to let that cool for just a few minutes. Give it just a few minutes to cool. I'll lay that right there, and it'll peel right off. And if you leave them too long, they're very hard to peel off. You want to just let them kind of turn white, and man, you can just peel that excess little donut right off. But guys, I'm going to show you something cool that you're going to really like. If you're going to run the collar, you don't have to run the collars. You can run them just like this. That's the way that they were intended to be done. But then they come out with a collar because people complained about not having anything to actually protect the front of the arrow. So what would you do in that case? Well, I'll show you. Very, very simple. Since it was a little bit warm, I unscrewed the field tip. So you got this donut of glue on here, right? Barely, barely. Do not heat it much because you don't want to damage your carbon. Very, very little. Just enough to soften it. Push it down. Now, screw your field tip on. Screw it all the way down. Let that little donut that's on the edge of your collar sit for a minute. See how easy that was? All I did was barely heated up that glue just enough that it's going to glue the actual stainless collar onto the shaft, because it goes down about 1/4 of an inch. Let that sit for just a minute. I'll peel it. We're going to weigh this thing. We're going to see exactly what this thing weighs, which should be, in my opinion, 40 grains heavier than this arrow was, because we have 120 grains of insert on that one, where we only have 80 on this one. So this is going to be an extreme high FOC build right here. Very high extreme. So for you guys that really want to put some front weight on there, again, you can't go too much. There it is. You can't go too much, because you will get a tail high bare shaft reading if you overload the front of center. Okay, now you say, well, I really like this design, and for good reason, because you've got a 100 grain brass insert and a stainless steel collar to protect your arrow. Absolutely killer setup. What could you do? What are your options? Well, I'll tell you. You don't have to run 200 grain tips. No, you don't. 150s. You can run a 150 grain broadhead, field point, whatever. Voila. You have still got, let's see, you've got 150, 250, 270. 270 grains on the front of this shaft with a 150 on it. You say, well, what does this thing weigh compared to the other one? Well, let's just see. She's lit. This one, 511 grains. So we are nearly at the same weight. Nearly the same weight. 521 grains. We're only 10 grains difference. This one's running a 200 grain head. This one is running 150. If you were to run a 200, if it will actually tune out of your bow, you got crazy high FOC. I mean, you're running 320 grains on the front if you do that. But that may be overkill. Maybe just too much. Okay, so that system, that is your direct fit or hidden insert technology build. Okay, that is super simple. Whether you use the little collars that come from Three Rivers, they also carry the Eastons. Okay, if you want the Eastons, there they are. 20 grains is what they weigh. Now, we have other options, guys. True, we do. What are the other options? Well, let me show you. There they are. 50 grain stainless Outserts. Okay, super simple. Just like these weigh 80 grains, these weigh 50. Available from Three Rivers. They're stainless. Now, is this the most durable you can get? Very durable. Very durable. But however, they do not slide over the end. They simply butt against the end of your shaft, which, don't get me wrong, unless you're shooting rocks and bricks, it's not going to matter. So these 50 grain Outserts are a really simple and good option. They are a very good option. Okay, now it comes down to one other thing. Old school technology has been brought to the new school. Weight tubes. If you want to add even more overall weight to your arrow build, whatever that might be, I'm going to show you guys how to do it. Simple and super cool. You simply leave your knock on here, insert the little weight tube. It's just a plastic tube, and it is such a fit. There will not be any rattle. It is a very tight fit. You simply take that thing and mark it. Let's see. Mark it at the end. Less what style of insert you're going to use. Okay, so, and there's two ways you can do this, and I'll show you another way. You can take your insert or outsert, whatever, let's just say you want to use these, and these are a very good option because they're an automatic 50 grains and they are very simple. Okay, so let's do it this way. We will take the knock off of it. Just pull the knock off where you have an exposed end, right? All right. let's just put, let's put this tip on here, and I'm going to glue this one in real quick. Watch this. You can get these little igniters here at Lowe's. People ask me all the time, where did you get that little clicker igniter for your torch? Lowe's, in the plumbing department. They don't cost very much at all, and they are very, very, very handy. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and glue in, spin it, push it. There again, I'll let that donut dry for just a minute. We don't have to touch this one. It's done, okay? Done. If I wanted to really bump up my overall arrow mass weight, because these are only 6.7 grain per inch shafts. They're super light shafts. So adding a weight tube is not only going to bump up your overall weight, but it's going to toughen your shaft up as well. Yes, it will. That is going to toughen up your shaft. So what you can do is this, guys. You can simply stick it in from the knock end. Stick it in here till it bumps right there. And what you want to do is just cut it off like that, okay? Pull it back out for the knock. Get a hold of it. Pull it out just enough for your knock. You can measure right there where your knock is, how deep the knock is going to go in the shaft. And you're going to have a tight fit, no rattle whatsoever. There it is. Okay, so now I could put my knock all the way in. If you're going to do a lighted knock, which is longer, you're going to want to use that for your measurement to cut the tail end off. So now, there's no rattle. No rattle whatsoever of any kind. Simply peel your glue off. What do we give it, a minute? Maybe a minute. It peels off. Super easy. Gone. Super clean, super nice. Look here. Spin like a top. Okay, now what does this thing weigh with a weight tube in it? I do like this weight tube technology. It's old school, but believe me, it really can bump up your overall weight quickly. So now, running this 200 grain tip, we have a 580 grain arrow. 580, plus it's going to be tougher. So these weight tubes that you get from Three Rivers for the 204 inside diameter arrows, this is an amazing option. It truly is. So you have got a 580 grain arrow on the head. If we ran a 150 grain tip, it would take 50 grains off of that. You'd have a 500 and what? 30 grain, which is still great if that's what you wanted. But with our insert options we have, we're there on this anyway. So there are so many cool components that you can use and do for your arrow builds. And what you might want to do is get you some of this stuff, shoot the arrows out of your bow, play with it, and see what you like best. If you say, well, Jeff, what's your number one choice? Well, I'll tell you, I love the Victory Shocks. I love the Victory Shocks, but they are the most expensive route. They are the most expensive route, and lots of times they're unavailable. They simply sell out. They're back ordered and hard to get. So running the 100 grain hidden inserts with the stainless collars like these Eastons is a bulletproof arrow. I'm talking bulletproof. This is as good as it gets. The front of that arrow is completely shielded. Any kind of impact, it makes no difference. You are not going to hurt that shaft whatsoever. And your front of center weight is absolutely amazing because you've got 120 grains just in insert alone. So you can pick what weight head shoots the best out of it. And what I do, guys, I'll tell you plain and simple. I push the limits. I push the limits of front of center on every single arrow build until it starts getting a tail high reading, telling me I'm getting too much. When I can still get a good bear shaft, whether it be 250 grains on the front, 300, 320, whatever it is, that's where I stop when that arrow starts coming out of my bow and naturally wanting to do this because it's just got too much weight on the front versus the back. You got to balance that shaft because remember, this is a projectile that has to what? Fly. It has to fly. It flies through the air. You got to get this thing balanced where it flies and flies as flat as possible and is good without any tail wiggle. Feathers are going to correct a lot. They're going to correct a lot. But when you put broadheads on, problems magnify. So you want to make sure that you're getting really clean arrow flight. Shoot it at 30 yards. Watch that thing fly. If it's spinning true, flying good, it'll shoot a broadhead, okay? Shoot broadheads. Try them. Make sure that they're not steering some kind of way. But the number one thing you want to do when it comes to broadheads is check your alignment. You want to make sure, and here's a good investment. These little arrow spinners like this are gold. You get these things, man, you can tell if your arrow, if there's any wiggle whatsoever in that thing, you're going to see it. And you're going to know, hey, I need to heat my glue up and I need to spin this. Maybe I didn't sand it good enough. See, they've got these little things that go on the end that when you have a raw shaft, you just simply butt it up there. And while you're turning it, you're sanding the end completely square. So it's a squaring tool as well. And you definitely want to square them. And I square my knock ends. I square both ends of my arrow to make sure that everything is just absolutely flat like it's supposed to be. So, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this. And I hope it's helped you a little bit with your next high FOC arrow build with a 204 inside diameter shaft. Thank you guys for joining me today on Instinctive Addiction Archery. I'm your host, Jeff Phillips. I love you guys. Just praise the good Lord for everything he gives us to enjoy, including building super cool hunting arrows. Till next time, guys, God bless you.